Right, so the IFP says they're troubled by the safety of its KZN Provincial Chair and Premier candidate Thami Ntuli. That's in light of recent incidents involving threats from individuals purporting to be law enforcement officers. The party says yesterday convoy, which was en route from a public event called Ingezo, which took place in eSikhaleni, encountered some kind of highly alarming situation. A suspicious unmarked car occupied by 4 unidentified males aggressively inserted itself, we're told, into the convoy's path while it was traveling on the N2 towards eMpangeni. For more on this, let's bring in our reporter watching developments from Ulundi. That, of course, is in Kwazulu-Natal. Simphiwe, what else do we know about these threats and these unmarked vehicles supposedly targeting the premier candidate for the IFP there?
Well, a concerning incident indeed, if you bear in mind that this is not the first time that the IFP's premier candidate, Mr. Thami Ntuli, has been involved in a situation of this nature, particularly with the members of the South African National Police Services. A similar incident occurred on the N2 about a month or so ago, but the campaigning had already begun for, these different political parties. So the statement which came out from the office of the IFP's Secretary General, Mr. Simphiwe, was basically summarizing what happened on that particular, incident where a group of heavily armed men were carrying rifles, basically forced the security personnel of the IFP's premier candidates to get out of their vehicles, and they were pointing them allegedly with the firearms. But to get a sense, Ayanda, as to what really caused this particular incident, let us engage the IFP's National Secretary General, Mr. Simphiwe, who issued this particular statement. Mr. Ngobo, thank you so much for your time. What happened here?
Yeah, thank you very much. What happened is, I would say, we are very worried. Our premier candidate, Mr. Ntuli, was driving in his convoy from eSikhaleni to Richards Bay, and whilst they were driving, they spotted that they were being followed by a white double-cab Ford Ranger, which was driving quite suspiciously, according to the protectors, Mr. Ntuli's protectors. Now, when they reached what we call at a cross of the John Ross and the N2, when he was about to turn to Richards Bay, it's when they were jammed by this van. And from this van, 4 heavily armed gentlemen emerged with what I suppose were rifles, assault rifles, because, it was big guns. Now, they made everybody lie down on the ground, with the exception of Mr. Ntuli, who was able to drive away. Allegedly, they were saying that these bodyguards were not driving properly on the road. And our problem now is, how do you approach people? You are seeing that they're in a convoy, and you are seeing that there is an important person in the vehicle, and I suppose Mr. Ntuli is well known there, and so those are local people. And then you make the bodyguards lie on the ground, and then you point rifles for that matter. And we are calling this intimidation of the highest order, and we object to it, and we do feel that Mr. Ntuli's life is actually threatened, because it's not the first time such a thing happened. It was similar, but not exactly the same before. So we are calling upon the law enforcement agencies to do everything they can to investigate this matter and make sure that we have free and fair elections, please. So far, everything has been right, unless only now that we are beginning to see a third factor coming into the play. It's going to spoil the elections.
These heavily armed men, did you get a sense that they were police officers? Did they identify themselves as police officers? Who were they?
They did not identify themselves as police officers. It's alleged that it was very difficult even to talk to them. All that was seen by the bodyguards was that they were wearing overalls, which they could identify as police overalls. Otherwise, they had these hats, the balaclava hats on their faces, concealing their faces. And then you cannot see the identities of the people involved in that kind of a case. And you don't even know whether to cooperate or not to cooperate. But fortunately, they cooperated because they could have landed in danger. But in short, the car was not branded so that you could see it was a police car. But again, the way these guys were dressed, they were in overalls and their faces were concealed with balaclavas. That's the problem. They did not identify themselves.
You are calling for an investigation into this particular incident. Have you opened a case with police?
The case has been opened in Richards Bay. This is a high-profile case. Let's accept that. We are talking about a premier candidate, and there will be elections. We have begun. And tomorrow is the last day. It's Wednesday, the 29th. And we are electing a lot of activities. And we are therefore appealing that there must be investigations and high-level investigations, because we are fearing for the life of Mr. Ntuli. And we do not know who is involved. Is it really the police? We don't know. If it is, are they fair? Shouldn't we be suspicious of their activities? That's the point.
Your observations as the IFP in terms of these past 2 days, yesterday and today, how has the election gone so far?
You say, my observations, I would say, everything has been well since all the parties we started campaigning. Everything has been fine. We were mixing, coming across each other. There never were any hostilities. We were quite satisfied up until this day, when we are supposed to be casting ballots for special ballots, and tomorrow the big day. So far, there is nothing that dramatic that one may talk about. Of course, there are incidences that we hear of, like ballot boxes arriving not properly sealed and so on in some stations. But I don't want to just assume that that is a small thing. We wish that IEC becomes very vigilant and follows these things quite seriously and make sure that we have free and fair elections. That is what we're yearning for. We want free and fair elections.
Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
That is the IFP's Secretary General, Mr. Siposetu Ngobo, here, basically giving more details in terms of the incident that happened involving candidates in KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Thami Ntuli. It's back to you in studio, Ayanda.
Right, Simphiwe, Makhanya, thanks very much indeed.